Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Fuzz, and I'm here to entertain you. So I wanted to make a video about a little bit of a trend that I've been seeing in the Spellweaver, and that is the problem of over-nerfing and over-buffing, which seems to happen at the same time. In the last few really large patches that we've had, we've seen this happen where decks that were previously dominant go way down, and then the decks that were just kind of meh suddenly become really good because the devs are simultaneously, hitting the problem cards, but they're also buffing other cards, and this is causing this really weird shift. And this has happened most notably with soldiers, because soldiers are not that different from they were before. They were worse, and nobody was playing them, and now all of a sudden they're everywhere. Like, if you look at the leaderboard, there's like top 5 players are playing soldiers. So what happened? It's just that we had a really big patch, which unfortunately caused quite a shift in the meta. So here's why I think soldiers got so much better. First of all, the life going back to 20. Soldiers are aggressive, so this helps aggressive decks. That's one. Rage took a hit, so people are playing less of it. And Rage has Fire Blast, which is basically the bane of soldiers, since it just wipes their entire boards. But without it, well, soldiers have a much easier time. And then, so their opposition was nerfed, but soldiers themselves received a couple buffs, starting with the hero. Alexa herself got her hero power to cost 1 mana instead of 2, and this is actually a bigger deal than it seems, because it means she's guaranteed a 1-drop on turn 1, always, to the point where you don't even have to run 1-drops. You always have a militia available. And the militia itself had its effect changed to where it can actually participate in battle if you buff its attack, and it's particularly potent with Cavalry Field Captain, which makes it a 3-speed creature able to just trade with like assassins and elves. So there's that. And the last card that was changed was the Guards. It was made instant and gives the militia 3 speed, which makes it an insanely strong defensive card. So all these things combined made soldiers suddenly become really good, and now they're all over the meta. But this also applies to certain individual cards. Our good buddy, the freaking Blood-Seeking Mutant, the card that's been like, everyone's is just really sick and tired of this guy. He ruins trials. He's really annoying to deal with. He went from crap tier to top tier. How does that happen? And the changes may seem a little bit subtle, but they're there. First of all, because it now starts at 2/2, when he hits the field, he becomes a 3/3. So he now dodges Assassinate, one of the ways you could have removed it in the past. So that's one less removal he has to worry about. Fireball sees less play because it was nerfed. That's another card that could have removed it, so that's less removal. And now the fact that his effect happens instantly, it immediately affects the board, either free killing something small or providing a reduction, and then allowing him to just continuously grow with fewer ways to remove him and continuously killing stuff. It just makes him such an easy, self-sufficient creature where aggressive decks have almost no way to deal with it, especially elves. Elves suffer so badly against this. If they're not way ahead on the board, they just lose. Thankfully, the devs are looking at this card, and they are going to do something about it. But this is just one example. Like, it went from bottom to top, right? And I think the point I'm trying to get across is that in these balance patches, maybe we need to kind of restrict what we're doing. Don't just go overboard nerfing a bunch of stuff and then simultaneously buffing other stuff, because then, like, there's going to be new annoying broken stuff than before. Path of Transcendence is such a card that literally went from, like, almost never played to insane. Yes, they bumped its mana cost by 2, but because you now always can get the creatures back, it is practically like a risk-free thing. It allows you to just, constantly get unlimited value with the battle cries. Play a Karthus, kill a creature, get life, and then put him under Path. And even if they kill Path, you are guaranteed that second trigger no matter what. And with a battle cry like Karthus, killing a creature and gaining 2 life, that's really, really powerful. And that's why it's seeing play now, because you can use this in conjunction with Karthus as your late game condition. Like, your opponent cannot contest the board, you just kill everything. You basically have to start deploying Lamps of Zafir or your own path shenanigans. So, but what this card also does is just the interaction that it has with Helm of Dominion is another one that bothers me, because you are literally able to just permanently steal a creature. And again, as long as you leave 1 mana open, you will get that creature on your side of the board. So if you steal your opponent's Karthus, you have the Karthus permanently now, and you're gonna get a guaranteed trigger. So now, this holy trinity of Path, Helm, and Karthus just became the new annoying thing. And now, if they're going to nerf this, nerf it slightly. Don't like kill the card, just a little bit. You could make it cost less mana, but like weaken the effect somehow. Either not let the creatures get swift, or not let it hold as many creatures as you want, or only let it like ascend 1 creature once, so you don't just keep getting Karthus value, or with like Namir or Cavalry Field or whatever. It just becomes a rather unfun card to play against, and that's a shame because I think the card is really cool. And if it costs 2 mana, it getting a Unicorn would be like less of a problem. And that's what we want. We want cards to be more like just more useful overall than just purely powerful. Because this is something that plagues a lot of spells in Spellweaver, where they're either insane if they stick on the board, or they're trash because they get immediately destroyed. And making them just cost less would make the destruction of the spell less painful. So this is what I'm trying to get across. Limit the nerfs and the buffs. You know, we should only really be nerfing things if it's like really obnoxious. In this case, with Mutant and Path, yeah, it kind of is, but I mean not the worst thing possible. But also, don't go overboard on the buffs. Just little tweaks here and there. Give a little bit of a push. Now, I'm not saying the devs have been doing this with everything. They've done a pretty decent job overall, giving Corruption a little bit boost here and there. It's just not quite enough. But Corruption has been seeing a bit more play, so it's just not using zombies. I think once Senalian and myself realized that you don't want to use zombies in Corruption, yeah, Corruption suddenly became decent. Imagine that. Poor zombies, right? Nobody loves them. So, yeah. We'll see what happens in the patch. I do hope they continue making good changes. And, making more interesting cards that, that are affordable to play and have cool effects. Like, Path of Transcendence, I think, is an awesome card. It just needs to be less obnoxious. Because you'd think, it used to cost 1 mana, right? You'd think, why wasn't it insane? Well, because Unicorns and Non-Power Engineers were everywhere, and if you put something under it, it just gets Unicorn, and then, right, it's really terrible. You just lose like 2 cards instead of 1. So most people avoided it. But now that it is a risk-free, people play it more. Although 3 mana, I think, is a little bit high. But yeah, anyways, that's enough for today's rambling. As soon as the patch is out and the changes are announced, I will let you guys know. And, well, I'm sure this will lead to some new decks. I really hope so. Although I think this patch is not going to be that big, but even a small one that maybe weakens soldiers enough to allow other stuff to play would lead to a more interesting meta. When it comes to nerfing and buffing, it's all about fine-tuning, not, like just massive sweeping changes. Alright then, thank you for watching, and have yourselves the best day possible.